Alright, so I'm running a little ahead of the clock here. Hope everybody finds their way in. I am on reveal number 768 now. This is an original 1954D roll, which I am working on picking apart and getting open right now. There we are. And here it is. Makes me cringe when I see some of these roll hunters go in to crimped rolls with a metal screwdriver to open them up. You know, what the hell is on your mind to make you want to do something like that? Look at the toning on this. Beautiful toning on the first coin here. Got no obverse doubling. We're going to check the reverse on the first 10 coins, although I don't know of anything listed on 54D reverses. This is a pretty late die state example. It's a very late die state, actually. Okay, and that will do it for that one. Tripwick got himself a very nice toned 1954D Lincoln Cent there. Next up, coin number 2 for JJ Addict. That looks like it could be a bit of a little rim clip there. Just a really, really small one. Nope. Nope, it's just a hit on the rim. Really late die state stuff here. I mean, mushy late die state. Oh yeah, I definitely expect that today, Carl. Rain and thunderstorms, very prevalent for the next couple of few days. Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, Kentucky, lower Illinois, lower Indiana. This will be a real problem. It's another one of those that's just really late die state. They're decent uncirculated coins, but they are very not going to be variety friendly in this late of a stage on the die there. Good day, Eric. There's an earlier one. No variety, but at least it's an earlier die state. It's not quite the eyesore that some of these other ones have been. Nothing variety-like there. Let's check the reverse. Reverse is a little nicer as well. So one of the bouncy old junky dies got replaced. This is the same coin. I'm back now looking at this. Okay, these are just die scratches inside the E. I saw something when I took the coin off of the scope, and then I said, no, I need to look at that again. So I put it back down. Here's coin number 5. This one for Stan. Stan the man. Nope. This is kind of the dregs of the roll right here. Not the best looking stuff, unfortunately. Yeah, definitely not great. Ant. Yeah. It's a little bit better. Marginally so. Man, these things have been in the original wrapper for a long time. Sometimes they come out great, and sometimes they don't. Richard? And you can't tell by the ends because the ends are toned, and, well, to some people that's really pretty, and to some people that's just not. But to everyone, it kind of hides the overall appearance of the coin as if it were brand new. Let's check the reverse on this one. Nada. Well, this isn't going to do well. Coin number 8 now for Paul Hampton. Nope. Again, we've got dies that are such late die state, they're going to be almost impossible to really check for much of anything. The coins are pretty if you just look at the coins. I mean, if you're not getting way in close on them, the coins look relatively fine. Well, you're just checking the condition of the coins. I mean, the coins are pretty. But it's once you get them under the scope that they kind of show their ugliness. Yeah. I don't think anything is going to come out of this roll. Not like this. Coin number 10, Orig. Well, sometimes we hit gold and sometimes we hit dirt, and this is just dirt. Number 11 now, Stan. Stan the man. Kind of just going to hop and skip through these really late die state ones, hoping for something new out there, a replacement of a die to have happened so that we can see better what we're looking at. This is another very late die state. Not quite as late as some of the others, but still not pretty. It appears the market is starting to recover just a little bit. We're only down 1,785 now. So it's come back a little better than 300 points since we started broadcasting. That's not too bad. Of course, the fact that it's still down 1,700 points is bad, but it's not quite as bad as it was an hour ago. We're up to coin number 15 now. Taco John. We're still just getting very late die state. That is probably what this whole roll will turn out to be. Hello, Dirty Water. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. Yeah, suffering quite heavily from die wear. Number 17, Sissy. It's another one. Is that a clash mark? That was a clash mark. Right there above the Y. See part of the Sea of Scent. Number 18, I'm back to Taco John again. This one's a little bit nicer. So we've got this die that's just late die state, and then we've got all these dies that are very late die state, and then we've got one that looks more like a late mid die state. And so far, no varieties. Another coin for Paul. Pretty well struck, though. It's just the die state is atrocious on a lot of these. That doesn't affect the grade, however. Die state's more of a die variety collector thing than it is anything else. Grading companies don't care what the die state of your coin is. It's got a hammered strike, it's going to get a good score for the strike. And so it doesn't matter to them whether the design is actually sharp. And that's really the only problem with these, is that the design is just not sharp on most of these. We're just not getting anything that we could ascertain as a RPM. On to coin number 22 now. Taco John. Back to Taco John. Let's see what Taco John gets. And it's another one. BC. We're in one of those times where you have to lay trust in an organization that has proven they cannot be trusted. So it's a very uncomfortable position to be in, knowing that the Dow, S&P, NASDAQ are sinking heavily, and a lot of people just lost jobs. Getting rid of different government entities altogether. Not saying this is a wrong move. It's just a very unusual move. And being unusual sometimes is great. But, oh, that's not Tripp's coin. That's Dan's coin. Dan's coin number 25. Now for Tripp, number 26. But, yeah, and I'm aware that that this could very well be basically a straight up good move. I mean, you know, we're talking about, on the surface, this is what's being said, is that we are getting rid of fraud, waste, and abuse in our government, which that's great. And fraud, waste, and abuse could be anything from somebody directly stealing money and knowing they're doing it, to people holding jobs that are unnecessary and being paid by our tax-paying dollars for completely unnecessary positions. And they are attempting to put a kibosh to that. And then the tariffs, I can understand in theory that, you know, if someone is charging you a 40% tariff, it's very fair for you to charge them a 40% tariff. And that's the voice on the street, is that that's all he's doing, is just equaling other people's tariffs to us, which I see as it's a completely fair way to play the game, unless there was some sort of a contract signed with that country that says, you know, for the next 10 years, we're not going to charge you a tariff or whatever. And turns out you're breaching that contract that you signed. Not necessarily going to be any consequences, except that any future deals you may be left out of because the entity doesn't trust that you're going to sign a contract and stay to it. So, yeah, that, I mean, it could very detrimentally affect the country. It could very positively affect the country. The one thing that I have, that most of my concern centers around the idea that we are prepping ourselves to depend on an infrastructure that does not exist. All these manufacturing jobs that come back to the United States. Well, you know, here's a problem with that. There aren't very many manufacturing plants left in the United States to put those jobs. So what are we going to do with them? We're going to pick a cow field and knock the cows out and build cars in a cow field? I mean, you know, a lot of the tooling and other things for a large number of the different industries have been mothballed or ditched altogether. There's an RPM. I can see the upper split serif, and the lower split serif is kind of obliterated, but I can see the upper. Yeah, I mean, doing something like what our current government is attempting, can take 20, 25 years to do successfully. He has 3.5, and I think is jumping the gun, doing a lot of things way too early. That's just my personal thought, though. I am not a government analyst. I have never participated in politics to the extent that I can profess to understand it. It just looks to me like we're quitting smoking cold turkey here, and that's the hardest way to do it. So we'll have to see. It's the only way we can do it at this point. Another one for Paul. Yeah, nope. Nothing, Naya. For the time being, I'm just going to go ahead and treat everything like it has been and see what happens. It really isn't anything necessarily to proactively do to prepare for the shit show that's about to commence. Not really sure that we have any personal recourse one way or the other. Our groceries are going to go up in price. If you want to eat, you spend more money to do so. One of the problems I can see with our society and with our country the way it is now is that for many years, decades, at least 3, maybe 4 decades, people have been living way outside their means, not saving anywhere near enough money to survive. And that's on the shoulders of a government expected to feed the people with nothing. I mean, because you cut taxes away from everybody and promise them the moon. And if you don't pay the taxes that they're not charging you so that the government can get ahead, you're really just causing trouble. Well, the problem with the good guys cutting prices in the markets for stuff is that if you sell you sell breakfast food, you sell eggs and bacon and stuff like that at a market where you've got them in the froster or in the fridge waiting for people to buy them, and you charge $1.79 a dozen for eggs, and your supplier comes to you and says you're going to end up having to pay $4 a dozen for your eggs. You can't continue charging $1.79 a dozen for your eggs and stay in business. You have to make a profit. Every business, every official business, every real business needs to make a profit, or they're going to go down. And if your supplier is selling you eggs at $5.50 a dozen, you're going to have to sell them for $6.50, $7 a dozen to make enough money to keep the doors open and lights turned on. So I don't see where the good guys can supersede the bad with what's happening. It just doesn't make any sense that could happen. Yeah, we have a lot of other places where money can be shaved and needs to be shaved. One of them being in the upper leadership of corporations. The upper leadership of corporations now have this automatic thought that they need to be making 7 or 8 figures or it's not worth doing. And that has to change. But, aside from going communism and forcing everybody to withstand a particular wage as a maximum wage, so you've got minimum wage and you've got maximum wage, you'll end up with a lot of companies that don't do well because their leadership is no longer motivated to do well because their motivation had been money so that they could buy their toys, their jet skis and motorcycles and cars and stuff like that. And well, if you lower their salary to a normal commensurate rate and basically put them in purgatory. They won't be able to afford their toys. They will have to get rid of their toys, possibly a dime on the dozen, or a dime to the dollar, because, I mean, you know, during a recession or a depression, not going to be a really good buy for someone for you to be selling a jet ski for, you know, $8,000 or $10,000 or $15,000. Jet skis are going to have to go for $500. In a world where $500 doesn't really even buy that much. For instance, $500 won't even pay for a family trip to Disney of 4 people as a Florida resident for 2 days. Non-Florida resident, you're talking about big bucks. Well, we don't really seem to be pulling much of anything out of this roll, unfortunately. I wish it had been different, but this particular 54D roll has turned up much of nothing. Just go through the motion of completing the roll. And right at 4 o'clock Eastern time, we're going to be able to call an end to this roll. One thing that I have decided to do, and this may be a good idea and it may not be a good idea, but I'm going to do it anyway, is I'm going to make a little bit of a run on typical standard long-term storage goods. Napkins, paper towels, toilet paper, things like that. Anything in vacuum sealed packages, canned goods, things like that. If you buy what you can now, you won't have to buy it for 10, 20, 30% more in a couple of weeks, which that's naturally going to happen because every retailer has seen, oh, prices are going to go up. Well, if you're the one who controls the pricing, what are you going to do when other people are reporting like Chicken Little that the prices are going to go up? Of course they're going to go up because you were just suggested to make the prices go up. So my thing is, well, prices go up, it's time to make a run. Time to make a run. Take care of yourselves and each other. Take care of your neighbors where you can. We'll make it through all this. Who knows how long it'll take? That's not the important part. Well, Eric, it was relatively well known that this was going to take place. There's no surprise at all that the hot air that was emitted about making pennies was just that, hot air, and that we continue to mint coins exactly as we did last year. The sheer number of people who actually believed that 2025 Lincoln cents would be rare. That's the part that worries me. That's the part that disturbs me, is that you have enough people believing in that crap. But anyway, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow with another reveal. Now we're down 2,200 points. What happened? Wow. I'll talk to you guys later, and take care of yourselves. I'll see you then.